Happy families. Friday night, games night. Mum, Dad, sometimes cousins, Grandad, we'd all sprawl on the living room floor or round the dining table. Dishes stacked by the sink, blackout curtains, a wet Christmas, real fire. The Goons on Grandad's valve radio. His sweet pipe tobacco mixing with our laughter. Chairs scrape on clay tiles as we took our turn. Mum said, "Anyone for nuts and nibbles?" and giggled as Dad topped up her sherry. One game went on for days. We laid the table round it. I was sad when games night ended. Friday night, games night. My brother Billy sneaked fake money when Dad nipped out to spend a penny, then blamed Grandad. We all cheated, but Billy would not accept defeat. Tough. He's bankrupt, aged 8. He sat there crying. We yelled, "Don't set the dog off." Too late, he's yapping and there's drool all down Whitechapel and Old Kent Road. Scrabble was World War III. Now, I've a good vocabulary, but no way is pard in any dictionary. That's the trouble when you play with geriatrics. Too pedantic, Grandad. Mum piped up, "Stuff world domination and capitalism. Whose turn is it to wash up? Not mine." I was glad when games night ended. Thank you. Some of you may remember me from a few weeks ago when I advertised the event I organised for National Poetry Day, or you may have come to the library and taken part, so thank you if you did. The event was on the 6th of October to celebrate National Poetry Day using this year's theme of games. The idea behind the event was to try and get as many students and staff as I could to contribute towards poems on this theme, and not just those doing creative writing or English either. Not everyone is keen on either reading or writing poetry, and this was meant to be a light-hearted way of getting people to have fun with words. As the subject of games is so enormous, I decided on narrowing it down to 5 categories, which is adult, board, computer, playground and sport. And I asked contributors to fill in a questionnaire which was designed to try and coax words and images or memories out of people so that could then use that to create a collaborative poem. The poems themselves are written now and they're going on display in Kimberlin Library soon, hopefully. And I'm also recording them tomorrow morning, and they should go up on the Demon Crew website, so you can hopefully hear them soon as well. I'm sure the links will be sent around at some point. And also, hopefully, the poem I just read, you can tell it was about board games. I'm going to show you the process that I used from looking at everybody's contributions to arriving at a finished poem, and how I got the words to work together. I had the most responses for this category, and that's all of them here. And that's all of the questionnaires. I chose that one because the person had really nice handwriting. And it just gives you an idea of what I was looking for. More than just saying what games did you play, I wanted to know what words they used to describe playing the games or how they felt when they played them. So it's to try and get some ideas from there. Once I got all the sheets in, I noted down, went through them all, and I noted down all the key words and phrases that people had used on one big bit of paper. And as I was doing it, I got a feel for moods that were coming out of the replies, and it kick-started ideas on how to actually start the poem off. With this board games one, there was a sense that board games were usually played with family at Christmas, often. People were either, or a mixture of kind of favourably nostalgic about it, but also involved large arguments and family members throwing wobblers because they didn't win, and it also usually involved monopoly as well. One thing you'll look at in the second year is the practice of writing with constraints, and that basically means different limitations you can put on your writing. Poetry in itself is a form of constraint writing because you're condensing language into a much smaller space than, say, prose, or and you're using limited words within a limited framework as well if you're using rhyme or strict form. So there's quite a lot to take into account. I found that using these limitations, I think, helps creativity, but I'm sure you'll come to your own conclusions when you do it yourself. In this particular case, my constraints were using other people's words and ideas to guide the poem rather than using my own voice, which is what you would normally do. I also wanted to try and keep as many of the original words and ideas that people had suggested, so that when they read the poem they could maybe recognise something that they'd actually said. So again, just to keep with this collaborative idea of the poem. However, this was also balanced by the need to create a poem that kind of worked in its own right, and I was looking for concrete images and interesting images, and also trying to avoid cliches as well, so there was quite a lot to take in. Again, whilst I was using other words was a constraint, it was actually quite liberating as well when I came to do it, because I could free myself from my own voice then. So using other people's words was, I found a surprise, that it was quite good fun actually. Here's an early draft of the poem I've just read out. You can see right from the start, I knew I wanted to show the two conflicting memories that people had. So it's nostalgia versus argument. So I've set the poem out with two clear stanzas, one dealing with one memory, and then the other stanza deals with the more negative side. So it's like two sides of a coin, really. At this stage it's still quite wordy and I've not got the rhythm going really, and at this stage I started to get feedback from other people, which is always useful to find out what works and what doesn't work. Going back, this is the version in the library that still pretty much looks the same, but I've got the two larger stanzas have the same line length now. I've got a repeating line between each one, with the only difference being one word, but that word rhymes with each other. So again, it's keeping the rhythm going. I've also tried to get the words themselves to work together better. So using internal rhyme and alliteration. So for example, stacked by the sink and blackout curtains and radio and tobacco. Although they're not line end rhymes, they still kind of give it a rhythm as you read the poem out. A lot of people mentioned monopoly, but I didn't actually want to say the word monopoly in the poem because I think it should be quite clear that's what you're talking about. So I hinted at it just by using Whitechapel and Old Kent Road, and also about the fake money. So again, you can tell people something without actually saying the word that you're meaning. However, I did use Scrabble as a game name, but that was more because I like the sound of the word and it went with vocabulary and dictionary. So, and this word sound was what was important with that. So I think that might be literally using poetic license to use what fits. So again, it's just a balance between using people's actual words but also making a poem that is perhaps hopefully more interesting and sounds sounds more interesting as well. There's something I'm working on at the moment where words really do have to work hard, and that was the poem to do with playground. The main constraint I've got here is the rhyme scheme and the rhythm, because I wanted it to sound like a typical playground skipping rhyme. So it's very quick, so I'll read that out. Skipping rhyme. Yelling and shouting, playing the fool, we all had fun at primary school. Lines on the pitches, lines on the bricks, hunt for the ball when you knock it for 6. Sitting cross-legged on a damp patch of grass, Jade doing handstands shows off her art in the morning, maths after lunch. Swap my corned beef for your monster munch. Statue of Mary keeping the faith, Catholics and Tudors and Henry VIII. Crying in kiss chase, last to be picked, a punch and a wedgie then pushed in the pit. Being the fastest, being the firstest, skinning my elbow and off to the nurstest. Yelling and shouting, playing the fool, wasn't it fun at primary school? Now, during the editing process for that, it was suggested why not make every line end like the art in the morning bit, where you've got one word meaning one thing at the end of a line, but having to carry it forward into the next line as well. So that is quite challenging. So this is as far as I've got at the moment, this top half. It's still very much work in progress at the moment, because that is definitely a challenge. But this is, again, it's the words have to work almost twice as hardly, because you want it to do two jobs. So I'm working on that at the moment. Now, is there time for another poem? I've got one more quick one.
Quick one.
Yes, this one, the last one. Hopefully you can guess what category this one is for as well. And the tone of this one was decided with one person's suggestion with 3 or 4 words, but it really kind of stood out as an idea for how to set the poem out. So it's called FTW. People, hear me. We must interact, emotionally connect, express the state of our souls through one voice. Oh brother, save the virtual world. Call on friends, flatmates, family members, get to the internet cafes, gaming centres, come home to bedrooms, the small box rooms with the pillows. Oh brother, save the virtual world. Forget books, clutter, mismatched furniture, the living room sofa, an unnatural chill, game frozen. Shut out everything, detach, concentrate. Oh brother, save the virtual world. People, hear me. We overcame the 4-hour car race, 40-yard log, character on fire, shot over and over. But we will win, not lose, my brother. Go, save your friend from marauding monsters. Oh brother, save the virtual world. Interactive, though mostly alone. Sit, focus, play, die, over and over. Express the state of our souls through one voice. Oh brother, save the virtual world.